Greetings, Liberlandians. Welcome to another episode of the Liberland Show. I'm your host, Adam J. Carswell, today joined by the one and only Ryan McCormack. I'm very much looking forward to this interview today. But hey, before I forget, are you considering becoming a Liberland citizen? If so, it's pretty simple. Go ahead and shoot me an email, citizenship.adam@liberland.org. If you have any questions or are interested in becoming a Liberland citizen, I can help you out. We can help you out. Let's keep moving this thing forward. Okay, today's guest, Ryan McCormack. Ryan, I met you through some circles that we're in with a name everyone knows here, Doug Casey. I
Yep.
just realized, we might have to get Doug back on the Lieberland show if he's down. But we're in some Doug Casey circles, some ANCAP circles, libertarian, all that good stuff. And when I first connected with you, I didn't think much of, and I don't know, this sounds bad, but like I was like, oh, here's another ANCAP that's in here. And then I got to know you and I'm like, man, I think if there's anyone that I've met throughout the years now who has like the number one Rolodex of voluntarists, libertarians, anarcho-capitalists around the globe, it's probably Ryan McCormack. So for
Thank
those
you.
who aren't just familiar with you and your background, could you tell us yeah, just a little bit about your story and.
Sure. I'll give you the long story short. I'm very passionate about freedom, and so I do PR. That's what I pretty much do. That's full time. Then I also host a metaphysical podcast called The Outer Limits of Inner Truth, and that's outerlimitsradio.com. So I just have this insatiable curiosity for metaphysics, growing, love freedom. And in the course of this journey, I've happened to I get the honor and opportunity to meet people like Doug Casey and to work with people like Stuart Wilde and to interview people like Jeff Berwick. So it's just I have to say it's just I love it. I really just do enjoy it, and it's mainly about the journey and seeking people. And then if I find someone really cool, interesting, I always like to be in contact with that person and try to introduce them to other people, especially if they're freedom minded.
Yeah, and you are a fellow I guess podcaster, you could say outerlimits.com. By the way, guys, if you haven't checked it out, go to outerlimits.com and get
Yeah,
on
Outer Limits Radio. Yeah,
Outer
.com.
Limits, there you go, outerlimitsradio.com. Get on his list, but you're very inquisitive by
Thank you.
nature. Well, actually, I don't know. Is that by nature? Or is it something you learned over time?
It's something where I think I was when I was in the I call it the collective. Sometimes some people they go through their things where I was completely in the collective. When I was in that collective mindset, I was not asking questions. As soon as I guess asserted the individuality and kind of grew, the curiosity just has been there. So insatiable curiosity just happened when I left the collective.
Do you, I think that any parent probably would give an extreme yes to this answer, but I got
Mm.
to ask you, do you feel like your passion for, we'll call it freedom or really truth seeking became stronger once you became a father? And if so, why is that?
It, I would say that when I became a father, I just looked at I became much more aware of the threats in the world, and I became much more aware of the forces that were shutting down freedom, and I was able to observe much more clearly how indoctrination works. So there are some individuals that talk about the symbolism and they talk about certain things and certain affirmations, and because I had the child, I was able to see those a lot more clearly. So the passion for freedom never wavered. It only grew stronger. It only grows stronger with each passing day. I mean, I appreciate and love and admire freedom more today than I did yesterday. It's continually growing, and every day is an opportunity to learn and to express that freedom and to share that freedom and to teach others that freedom. So the having the child just be maybe become more aware, and I think because when you have a child and you're very protective, you can see things a lot more clearly because you're looking at it from a different angle. You're not just looking out for yourself, you're looking at protecting others around you. So I think one of the hardest things about being a freedom advocate or understanding is you can see clearly what the others cannot see. You can see beyond the programming in a lot of different ways, and you yourself may still be trapped in that programming. So yeah, but I think being a father and having these new experiences or growing, you're going to come across other challenges when it comes to recognizing where freedom is being suppressed and how to kind of navigate around that.
Yeah, yeah, so true. Um, I think you're to your point too. Yeah, it's more of like your awareness, generally speaking, kind of
Yeah.
heightens, um, because you're put in a position of like, okay, it's not just my life that I'm responsible for anymore. Like
Yeah.
that's it's kind of intuitive. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
And kids, they get the subconscious mind. I mean, you study psychology and you learn about the subconscious mind, and then you see how the programming, what ta takes root in the subconscious mind. So what I like to do is like to put positive affirmations around my son. And I always tell, I say certain phrases over and over again because I kind of want to embed that in his subconscious mind. You know, it's always that as a point of reference because the forces of tyranny, that's what they're doing. They're trying to capture as many people on their side as possible. So,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
talking about forces of tyranny too, I know you've been able to interview, folks like you mentioned from Ron Paul to Jeff Berwick. Jeff is really, and I think about ultimately how you and I got connected. If you go back far enough, the reason I started working with Liberland and all this ANCAP stuff was was Jeff talking about Liberland in like 2017 or something like that. So, um, big shout out to him. But
it's,
you just I know you've been able to see multiple people's different perspectives. I think you've even interviewed guys like David Icke before. Is that correct?
yes,
Yeah. So
David Icke. David is the real deal.
how do you,
He's
how do you how
the
do you gauge what I just want to know how do you gauge kind of what you believe? Because you have someone like David Icke on the show who's, from what I can see and what I understand, spitting significant facts. But then I know you've had some pretty, profound even conservatives or libertarians like on your show too, who probably say some pretty truthful things too. Like how do you decide what am I going to believe today?
Okay, well, I'm going to go a little deeper on this and say that okay, so in addition to talking to a lot of people like David Icke, I've also done a lot of programs on the afterlife, and I did a comprehensive show called The Journey Beyond Death, where I had 65 interviews, and 25 of them were with people that have had a near-death experience. And going in that direction and learning the totality of the existence of where we are, it comes down to, I guess, the collective consensus I got was that we are all points of attraction of infinite consciousness, all imaginary creations within the mind of one being.
Mm,
And that being said, I guess there are some people that have perspectives that change and they grow and they evolve. And I guess, when I was in that collective mindset, the collective, I was completely beholden to my religious beliefs or my political beliefs. And anytime those would get challenged, I would get very erratic and I would have the cognitive dissonance where I would use any kind of things I had to justify what those beliefs meant. Getting out of that and being in a place of being just fluid, I can take on ideas and entertain ideas that may disagree with what I've previously come to know. I'm so sorry.
oh, you're
I'm so
good.
sorry. Is this live?
Oh, I didn't hear anything. You're
Sorry.
good.
Um, so anyway, I'm sorry, I said something in the background. So it allows you to entertain ideas that may go against what I've come to know and believe previously. But having the fluidity in meeting these different individuals, you're just taking on new information. I'd say that, what it really comes down to, what are your core beliefs? What are a person's core beliefs? If you believe in freedom and you have love for your family, there isn't anything that a person can really say or present that's going to contradict that.
Mm,
So I think sometimes when people they get caught up and they say, "Well, I got these 4 or 5 beliefs," and if somebody challenges those, they get upset. I would say, "Don't be upset. Just be open hearing it. You may get more, you may hear something that will evolve your idea or your belief, or you may have something that will challenge that belief that could put you in a stronger position."
yeah. Yeah, well said.
Thank
Um,
you.
I had this thought yesterday and I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I'm a genius for thinking this, but actually I'm probably not. But I want to know I want to know your take as well.
So,
If you look at really the last year or so, and I think it's become much more profound once Trump stepped in to office. Trump's presence in the U.S. As president, I feel has actually created a sense of very strong nationalism, not only for Americans, but for in general, right? But for every country around the world, the more that I think about it. And what I mean is, if you're going to go next level, who's pulling the strings theory here, it's almost as if whoever's really running the show wants someone like Trump in office because they know it's going to make Americans more proud, again, in general, Americans more proud, Canadians more proud, Mexicans more proud. I don't have a ton of boots on the ground experience with Europe, but I can see it. Like all of a sudden, everyone's really proud to like fly their flag of where they're from. I even found myself getting a little bit caught up into it, just because we spent so much time between the Canada and the US. I know some of the things that, for example, Canadians enjoy about America, sometimes just like more products, different things more. I kind of found myself in the back of my head going, ah, that's cool. America, where I'm from, is like kind of where people want to be right now. But I'm like, wait, 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 no, stop that. Why am I getting patriotic over a choice that I had? No one gets to choose where they're born.
Yeah.
Uh, but I feel like, do you see that too? Where all of a sudden it's not just Americans, it's not just Canadians, it's not just, fill in the blank. Every citizen of most countries, largely speaking, are getting a huge sense of nationalism right now, which is actually kind of scary.
Okay, I can only make an assessment or first an observation because where I traveled, which has not been as widely as, traveled as someone like Doug Casey. From what I can tell, people, I think when people are becoming more nationalistic, I think it means or implies that they are continuing to buy into the belief that they are not part of one human race, that they are just part of us, that their allegiance to whatever
A
the ruling
flag.
class is in that particular landmass. So
Mhm.
do I see it growing stronger? I don't know. I don't. I have to say I can't give you an assessment if I see it getting stronger or particularly weaker. I do know that in economic conditions where things get a little harder, I think the last thing people are looking at is patriotism, or maybe they're using it as a means to kind of give them some kind of energy. But a lot of people are struggling. And during economic downturns, I tend to see and observe that the survival is the number one thing. And as far as a charismatic leader like Trump or someone else in all these other nations, I don't necessarily see them rallying around that particular leader as I do see them rallying around particular causes. And there seems to be a number of chaos that's happening. The chaos is probably engineered. They're probably pushing this out there. We see a lot of social upheaval in a way that we've never done before. It probably falls into the favor of the people that are trying to rule over us because the more that we see ourselves as the enemy, is more the more we dislike each other because a person lives on that landmass and we live over here and we see them as we're never going to be able to transcend the bigger problem, which is the fact that why are we even being ruled in the first place? Why are people putting a boot on us? Why can't we just, live peacefully? And I
Yeah.
just want to come back to one of your, because I didn't fully answer the question you asked me before about you seeing someone like David, like how do you tell who's the real deal? And I'll tell you one thing, just in my experience, it's intuition. When you are in the presence of someone and you look at that person, just listen to your heart. I've had the pleasure of interviewing a number of cardiologists who actually say that the heart is very intelligent. The heart is actually where you get most of your intelligence from. The brain is just the processing chip. Your heart is where all the energy and frequency comes in. So listen to your
Wow.
heart, listen to how people say, see if they're presenting their information based on ego. One of my old teachers really would go after these teachers, other teachers that want to be praised. And he says, if it's ego based, be aware. If they're looking for power trips, be aware. When I met David Icke, I just got this warm feeling, and he was very funny, very personable, down to earth. He couldn't have been nicer.
Wow. Yeah.
You know?
And not always, but oftentimes, if someone has been banned to some degree, then
Yeah.
typically there's some truth there, right?
Oh yeah. If someone's mad, they're probably talking about something. If they don't want, if somebody doesn't want you to know what they're talking about, they probably got the good stuff. They probably have the right information.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, you talked about it a little bit there, but one thing that I still need to follow through on this and go through some of those interviews that you did, but just the fact that you pursued uh call it afterlife experiences with
Mm,
people who have gone through those is to me says a lot um, about you. Like, you talk
mm,
outer limits radio, you're going to the outer limits with a focus
yeah.
like that. So, what were your, I'll just say one, two, maybe three maximum key takeaways from talking to people who had died and come back to life?
Okay. Some of the big takeaways is we look at this place that we're in right now and we take it so seriously. And apparently we're not supposed to take it seriously. Like this is actually a sideshow and a laughing matter. It's weird to say that, but apparently when you get out of the okay, this is a meat suit. It's kind of like you look at the body the way we look at a car. The people go into a car, they drive a car, and we see the car, but we don't see the person behind it. Well, the person behind it apparently is the soul. So we have a soul that's in this body driving around picking up all these experiences. And then we trade it, we go back and we get another one, according to these people that have had near-death experiences. And the thing I found really compelling is that one of the a number of individuals say that once you are dead and once you're back in spirit, you will never believe that you actually believe that you are a human being, that you are a point of infinite consciousness, that your spirit is so vast, and that it's always collecting experiences. So the human body, the human form, is just one of many evolutions that apparently you take on. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then another one I thought was pretty interesting is that when you when you go into the afterlife, you get a chance to re-experience how all of your actions impacted others. So we see these people that have done bad things. We're like, oh God, they're never going to see the light of day. Well, apparently, when you go, you experience all the horrors that you inflicted upon other people. So that's why they say it's a good idea to try to be as good a person as you can.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got a lot of comfort knowing that when we're out of the body, we see our relatives, and it's beautiful. There was only one experience that person on near-death experience that talked about actually going to hell, but eventually they went to the light. So I'd say like 99% of the near-death experiences talked about it as just being beautiful, this being such a blink in the eye of an evolution, and that we take it very seriously. But overall, this is just part of our learning, our evolution. And I guess when we go, it's bliss. There's so many wonderful things that we're going to experience. So that's pretty hopeful, I
That's
think.
what I remember hearing predominantly just throughout the, 34 years of my life is the bliss piece that you just talked about. Was that what you found too from most people? Is that, or could you explain that?
Sure, sure. So we perceive like a number of different senses. We have limited perception through the human body. We're only able to perceive reality through our bodies, what our bodies are able to do. Once in spirit, you have a heightened range of sensitivity in what you can perceive. And the individuals that said that they had died, they'll talk about their spirit returning to something greater, which would be called source. So they call it God or call it source. It's the one being, the one consciousness. And upon the return, the illusion of separation that we have, that you and I are separate, completely melts away. The physical realm apparently is the illusion of separation. And in the spirit world, there is no separation. You realize that you're all one consciousness. You're all points of infinite, you're a point of attraction of infinite consciousness. And returning to that, that is the bliss. That is the most amazing, beautiful gift of love that I guess people can experience. They all described it. I mean, I'd say just about everyone described being dead and being in spirit as so a love that they've never, they
Wow.
can't fathom how much love it was. So it was
Wow.
just, yeah, and when I did the series called The Journey Beyond Death, it starts out where people are talking about what it's like to lose someone, and then I do like three or four different episodes where we talk about psychologists and they talk about how to cope, and then we go into we do two parts on after death communication, how to communicate with those who've departed, and then we get to a part where Jeff Berwick is in, and a number of individuals or metaphysical teachers talking about it, talking about how they perceive it. And the last 8 episodes are just near-death experiences. So this particular series was to kind of look and show, okay, this is what these individuals are saying our reality is. By having this information on hand, I think it takes away some of the sting that we tend to feel because it's when we look at the world, Adam, it's pretty dark into a degree, a lot of ways. It's you wonder how this rampant evil can go on, and I'm still trying to fathom that. I'm doing my show continually because I want to find out, why is this allowed to happen? And is there anything we can do to change the reality or change the matrix simulation that we're in? So
Wow. I mean,
it's to
yeah,
keep asking questions.
the part about not taking this reality too seriously,
Mm.
that really hit home for me because it's something that there's some book, I can't remember which one it is. It's like Think and Grow Rich or Napoleon Hill, some
Yep.
some book where they say never forget rule number six. And then the point of saying that to someone is to make them say, why? What's rule number six? And you say, oh, don't take yourself or don't take life too seriously. Um, I've just found I've heard that so many times in different ways, and to hear you say it again right now, it's
Could be the universe reinforcing a message.
it's crazy. Is right. Yeah. I don't know what
Yeah.
to say other than I'm very impressed with this moment.
Cute. Well,
Uh,
sometimes when you listen to people that we're talking about, we did the two-part series on after death communication. You're constantly receiving messages. And my metaphysical teacher, Stuart Wilde, this guy he was a rebel. He was Wayne Dyer's teacher, and he said something to me that I'll never forget that really changed my perception of. He said that most people look for something outside of themselves to save them. And he says, no, you have to look within. And if you look within and focus on changing within, the outside of reality will completely change. And it was true for me. Once I started changing on the inside and started growing, the outside reality completely changed. And that was just it was I don't know, very interesting. And then you get messages. If you really focus on what you'll see messages coming from all different places.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think it was before we hit record, but I had mentioned. Oh, you know what? I think that was another call I had today. Did we talk
Mhm.
about meditation at all today? I don't
No,
think we did yet.
no.
It's another call I had today. There you go. I'm not gonna take life too serious on that one, but and the reason why I say it is I have been making an effort much more, I would say even just the past 30 to 60 days than I have in a long time to meditate daily. Um, and it's impressive what messages you can receive now, what I would say from that source, from that one, point of consciousness. There's certainly been actions that I've taken again, just even over the last month. Even what, even the men's group that you and I are in,
Mhm.
that was from through meditation.
Actually,
So, what do you have any practice similar? How do you kind of get in touch with the source?
okay. Well, I'm going to say when it comes to meditation, this is something where it's not my strongest thing at all. When I wake up in the morning, I'm like ready to go. I have a hard time falling asleep. I'm always in go mode. And I
Yeah.
know that Jeff Berwick talks about how he'll meditate for maybe 2 to 6 hours a day. I commend him
Oh,
for
really?
doing
Is he
that.
doing that now? Good
You know,
for him.
he's talking
Wow.
about, and he's changed so significant. He's changed, and because I've listened to him for years, and I think like the last couple of years to see him grow and to go into the more places that it's been such a wonderful
Yeah. Yeah, he
thing to
stepped into
watch. And
father, he stepped into fatherhood too.
yeah, he did, and like when he's doing these things, it's kind of like it's really inspirational that he stopped alcohol. Like to see him kind of grow, I think it's very inspirational. Um, but
Yeah.
as far as meditation goes. I've done when I have done it, when I have been able to sit there and meditate, I notice a significant change. And a friend of mine she had a very compelling, I call it not even a near death, an after death experience, but I think she had three near death experiences. And when you are shutting your mind down, you're in receive mode. You're basically your soul is kind of downloading the information and opening up channels so you can receive knowledge, wisdom, guidance in that particular way. But apparently, our minds are constantly racing, and all this distraction is apparently running interference for all those messages and information we could be receiving. But I can say, Adam, if you're meditating, that's fantastic. Highly recommend it. My experience has been great. I wish I could do it more. I
It's
just,
not, I sit here and say it. I sit here and say it like I'm some pro too, or like I've been doing it right. The only thing that I can say is I actually had someone recently um use a gym and like a workout metaphor that resonated so deeply with me. It's like some people like to go to the gym because they actually enjoy working out or whatever, fill in the blank. he's like, I go to the gym because I know it's the one thing that honestly I don't want to do. Like every day, like I don't want to do it, but I know by putting myself in a position of doing the things really that I don't want to do, it's almost always exactly what you need. And that's
Yeah.
how my little meditation streak that I'm on right now began. Is like so many times, Brian, I'll like wake up and to your point, mind racing, to-do list that never ends, which again, I think is just human
Mhm.
reality maybe. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna like just take at least 10 minutes a day and force myself to do this. And it's always like the first 2 minutes is a struggle. The first 2 minutes, like dang it, I don't want to do this right now. I'm trying to send this email, but damn it, I know I'm gonna do it. And that's what it's looked like for, I don't know. I have to check the marker now, but it's the last 30, 60 days. So
Good.
I challenge you and anyone listening, if you're not doing something that you don't want to do every day, to consider it.
And when it comes to working out, Adam, I love to work out, and it's painful because it's very challenging. But you always get it this way: okay, your body is a vehicle, and if you upgrade that vehicle, you can go in different places you haven't gone before. And I just want to share with you that if you are listening and you've never worked out, if you start working out today, in 2 months, you're going to get this gift called newbie gain. So you're going to get more muscle in 2 months than some of your friends have been working out for 5 years because your muscles aren't, relaxed or accustomed to that. But I think if you push yourself and you go to the gym and you try doing some things, you'd be amazed at what clarity you have. And I think it's great, Adam, that you're challenging yourself to do something you're not comfortable with, because I think that's the foundation of all self-discipline. Because when you can do the things well that you don't want to do, and then you're doing something that you enjoy, I imagine the flow is so much stronger.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
true. A good point on the newbie gains too for
Yeah.
anyone who's planting, like they say, best time to plant a tree right now.
Oh yeah.
We got to bring this one down for a landing, but Ryan, I'm so happy that we took the time to do this. Could you let everyone listening know, just best way to follow your story, your journey, get in touch with you, all that good stuff. Let's hear it.
Sure. Best website is outerlimitsradio.com. And please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to help you in some way. And anyone who's on the journey of self-actualization, self-realization, I'm walking right beside you. And I hope that you grow and find the path that you're looking for. And I'll say one more thing is that the more freedom that you have, the greater you evolve. It's better for all people in freedom. I think that people who are especially in this particular type of mentality, the more we grow, the more we affect others for the better. And my goodness, we need more people to be thinking about freedom right now than we ever have, because we're up against a pretty big challenge right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. Love it. Up against a big challenge, but hey, at the end of the day, don't take it too serious, right?
No.
Um, thank you, Ryan. And again, yeah, for anyone who's tuned in right now, go check out the links in the show notes. Get in touch with Ryan. If you are considering Liberland citizenship, again, shoot me an email, citizenship.adam at liberland.org. Would love to talk to you and walk you through what that process looks like. So again, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Liberland Show. We were joined today by Ryan McCormack of OuterLimitsRadio.com. Ryan, thank you once again.
Thank you.